Welcome to the Dawn Reed Show, Ask Dawn. I have a question for you. Did you ever ask yourself, why am I getting so many allergies and what is the problem? Sometimes we have allergies, we have symptoms that we don't know where they came from or why. The guest today has done a lot of research. Because of her testimony, you're about to learn so much. But I do want to put a disclaimer in that this is not for medical advice. This is just for information so that you still have to take the advice of your professional medical care provider. So to continue, when I listened to this interview, it made me wonder, do I have water damage? What is causing me to have these allergy symptoms? But there's even more. And I'm not going to take it away from her interview, but my name is Darlene, and I want to introduce the host of the show, Mr. Don Reed Sr.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Don Reed Sr., and thank you so much, Darlene, for giving me that introduction today. I really appreciate it. You do such a good job, and I'm so proud to know that your organization has really taken this ministry and doing an awful beautiful job. Anyways, my name again is Don Reed Sr. I'm the founder of the show, the Don Reed Show, Ask Don. That's exactly what it is. Ask Don questions. And these are questions that people are not getting answered today. And I'm so glad that this young beautiful lady here today, I just don't understand how people don't understand. If you don't understand something, ask about it. But they don't ask about a lot of things because the doctors can't give them an answer. But the Bible can. Anyways, we have today Kathleen Manganaro, right?
Manganaro.
Oh, I got close. Thank you so much for coming up.
And thank you for having me.
You saw me in another program, and somehow the Lord told you to call me, right?
That's right.
Well, what would be the question that you'd like to ask me, or that they're asking you maybe?
Don, what does the Bible say about mold?
Mold?
Yes, mold.
Wow, I don't even know what mold is. I mean, most people, they see it every once in a while, right?
That's right.
But they really don't know what it is, or they have it, or may have it, right?
That's right.
Now, again, this is your program, so tell me, just like I say, what is mold? What's it for? What's it do?
Mold is a fungus, and God had a purpose for mold, and it's to degrade the vegetation and things in the forest that must be degraded over time, or it would multiply, and we would be overwhelmed with debris and trees and leaves. So it's a natural process. But when you get it in your home like this or like this, it can cause illness to varying degrees. And so we don't want that to come into our home. And in the 70s, our homes were made more airtight. They wanted to have energy efficiency. And at my work, we had windows that were huge, and they went down to windows like that. So you didn't have the air coming in and the circulation. And then with the newer homes, you're using materials that are mold food, that the mold like. We've got cellulose, we've got drywall, and the mold, once things have gotten wet, mold will form within 24 to 48 hours. And so you have to get those things dry. And the thing about drywall, it might appear dry on the outside, but the inside is totally wet.
How would that, or why would that have to do with you, though, since most people don't know what we're talking about today?
Well, I happen to be a canary in the coal mine. Mold can affect you in different ways. It can be an irritant, it can be an allergy, or it can be a toxicant. And I'm in the toxicant bracket where I have genes that don't see mold as a foreign invader. And with my innate immune system, it'll bring it in and it'll start fighting it. Now, normally the adaptive immune system should take over and expel it from your body. Not so in my case. So when mold comes into my body, it's going into my brain, my cells, my heart, my organs, my gut, liver, kidneys, and it's not coming out. It stays there. So I have to have a way of getting it expelled. And there are certain protocol which your doctor will never know about. My brother was a doctor, and he had no idea this concept. My first exposure was in 1983. I went to a PCP who didn't help me. I went to an immunologist who didn't help me with the shots, the allergy shots, because he did see mold allergy. I have both. And then I finally, in 1985, had to go to a integrative doctor. He said, you have candida, which is a product that it's a one-cell yeast that will multiply in your body and cause a host of issues when you're exposed to mold. And so he gave me an antifungal. He put me on a special diet, and he gave me some thyroid medication too to help my body. And within, I would say, I saw him in March 85, and by the summertime, I was feeling okay. Now, mind you, I was only 29 years old, and it was a whole different ballgame back then.
I know, wait a minute. I'm talking from somebody out there sitting, okay, doesn't know nothing about mold. When you touch mold, is that how you get it? Or do you breathe it in?
You breathe it in. You can touch it. It can go in through. There's mycotoxins that will go in through your skin, through your inhalation areas. So, yeah, this is how...
You can breathe it in?
Yes, you can breathe it in.
Okay. I mean, these are things that people don't even know.
They don't know
about. I didn't know, okay?
Know about.
Okay, go ahead.
So, these are the ways. Now, a normal person can expel them. Not me. They stay in me.
Or many others like you, right? Well, I mean...
My adaptive system does not expel them. That's what God designed the adaptive immune system to do, is expel them from your body.
Does a normal person expel them?
Normal people do.
Okay.
Normal people do. I don't.
Okay.
And it's a defect on the HLA-DR chromosome 6, which special doctors had to look at. Dr. Richie Shoemaker was a pioneer in this, and he started in 1998. And there were only a few doctors at the time. And actually, how I found out about mold, I had my second exposure in a building from 2003 to 2007. And I wasn't getting any better. And ironically, I'm watching Cornerstone TV with Doug Kaufman from Texas doing Know the Cause. And he was talking about mold and all the things that you can happen when you have mold exposure. This is in the mid-2000s that I was watching it. But my mold was hidden in the walls, and I couldn't see it. I saw some peeling paint, but I didn't have enough knowledge to know that the peeling paint could be a deeper-rooted problem. And the reason I do know that it was a problem, the next person that used that room was rushed to the hospital with heart issues from that room. They had to have
From mold.
We didn't know it because we couldn't see it. But she got to the hospital and she stayed overnight, and there was no problem with her. She never went back to that room, and she had no problems after that. But here she is working in that same room that I was in, and she reacted, and she was rushed in an ambulance to the hospital. So I was there for 4 years. I had a world-famous doctor from Hawaii who I was working with online through my brother, who was a family practice doctor. And he said, we've tried all my protocol for chronic fatigue. And this is what I thought I had, chronic fatigue. He said, it's not working. I suggest you take off. So I'm thinking, well, I'll take off a half a year. That should be sufficient, that I take off a half a year. However, it took 5 months before his protocol started working outside of the mold where I was at home. It was mid-October, and I had a huge herx. I started throwing up and diarrhea and expelling all the toxins that were in my body with his protocol. But while I was in mold, his protocol did not work at all. I had to be out of mold for it to start working. So it was...
You mean out of the building or where?
Yes,
Okay.
out of the building.
Okay.
I was on a sabbatical. Now, he said to me, and we were still in touch, he said to me, you know, you have to go back to work in January. That was how long I took off, never thinking that I would need longer. And he said, why don't you go to my local clinic in Pittsburgh? And I did. I went to his local clinic, and the doctor there was fairly new in there. And he looked at me, he misdiagnosed me, gave me medications that I shouldn't have because he didn't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, he wasn't mold aware. And so I said, your hydrocortisone is making me sick. Now, Dr. Richie Shoemaker says never give mold patients hydrocortisone because it's like throwing gasoline on a fire. And I was telling him I'm getting sicker, and he said to me, oh, no, you're not. You're detoxing. I said, no, I'm not. And so I did an experiment at home. I tried the hydrocortisone. Again, after getting off of it, it made me sick immediately. I got off it again, and I felt better. Not great, but I could see the difference. I will do my own little experiments. And this is December, he gave me this, right after Christmas. And he also gave me what they considered T3 therapy. And that is a thyroid medication that your body cannot control. He gave it to me at too high of a dose. For my age, it should have been no higher than 60. He gave it to me at 100 micrograms. And I said to him in my January appointment, I said, none of this is working. I'm feeling worse than when I walked into your door. And he called me a malingerer. He got some people you can't challenge.
Yeah.
And he wasn't familiar with the illness. And so he said, he told his secretary I was a malingerer. He wouldn't let me use my 100 sick days that I had so I could extend my time off. And he said, his secretary said, he feels you should go back to work. He only wanted to give me an FMLA, which is insurance and no pay. What I had 100 sick days I could use. And I was a member of the sick bank, so that didn't make sense. But so I called his boss, and he says, no problem, you can have off. And I had also talked to my brother, and they know that I'm not a malingerer. Anybody that works 4 years trying to conquer being in a building with mold and is getting sicker and sicker, they're not a malingerer. And that last year, I wouldn't take off because it was an audit.
What do you call it, malingerer? What do you mean? Somebody wants that word.
Malinger means you just try to get out of working.
Okay.
You don't want to work.
All right.
That's not me. Yeah. I'm anything but a malingerer. So he reduced the T3 medication to like 89 grams. I was at 100, and he reduced it to 89 micrograms. But for my age, it shouldn't have been above 60. Within a couple of days after my birthday on the 28th, I was in an ambulance going to Pittsburgh Hospital because my LAD had collapsed. It had blown up. That medication was too strong for me. My body couldn't control it, and so it collapsed. And I was clueless why this all happened. You know, I'm like, the doctors are saying, you know, I think it was your medication that did it. And I'm thinking, no, you don't understand. I have to have this to get well. And so they were kind of smiling, you know, and when I got home, I started doing research. I knew I had chronic fatigue, but as I researched more and more, I came across people God put in my path. They were two people. Eric Johnson was one of them, and his partner, Lisa Hetterson. They were telling me that chronic fatigue could be triggered by mold. And I was like, no one told me this. And it wasn't well received, the idea of mold. It just wasn't thought of as, there were other causes, is what they thought. And they would rather go down that rabbit trail than down the...
They were skirting the issue, and these are things that are popping up before that never did before, right? So that's one reason now they're looking at, right?
Now, and so I found these people, and they said, you probably have mold. And I thought, well, geez, there was water damage on just some peeling paint on the one wall, but they had painted over. But there was no real mold that I could visualize and see. But what people don't know is mold inside the walls produces mycotoxins that come through the walls and will make you sick.
There was mold you couldn't see.
It was mold I couldn't see. So I had to research all this on my own. It wasn't like I'm a good researcher. And so, God led me down the path to find answers. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I thought, well, do I have this or don't I have this? But I had to prevent other people from going through the same experience. So I decided that I was going to go to Washington, D.C., to the Chronic Advisory Committee and warn them. Even if I didn't know it's mold, it's chronic fatigue, I am as sick as heck. A doctor blew up my heart. My LAD flattened like a pancake. They could not get it open with drugs. They had to put 3 stents in it to get it open. And that was the only way they could open it up because it was as flat as a pancake. So here I am recovering from mold. I'm recovering from 50 symptoms of mold-related symptoms, and I'm now recovering from a heart attack too. And so now I have to research, do I have mold? Do I have chronic fatigue? So I went to another world-famous doctor. This is me. I'll go to the top. I'm not going to fool around with anybody at the bottom. So in 2009, I went to North Carolina, and he said, they caused your heart attack. And he diagnosed me with chronic fatigue syndrome. And I had some other issues as well, POTS and other issues. And he told me, he had a heart transplant, so he knew about the heart. And he did a special 3D echo, and he said, your heart is so bad. You have systolic and diastolic dysfunction from the heart attack. They did cause that. I want you to sue them. And he said, you will not live longer than 10 years for as bad as your heart is. That was 2009. So by 2019, I should be gone. But here it is, 2024. God had a plan for me. Amen. And so I am trying to educate people that won't know from their family doctors the root causes of their illness. And so I have a group called Mold Toxicity and Faith. Okay. If I had, the only way I got through this was through my faith. I know the only way other people can get through it is their faith too, and Scripture, and believing and trusting that God will be there through all your trials, no matter what.
Would it be appropriate now to go through that group name now, or you want to talk about later? In Pittsburgh, this group that you say, what they do?
It's on Facebook.
Okay.
It's called Mold Toxicity and Faith. We pray together for our members every Monday. Right. It's worldwide. I screen everybody before they can come in because I don't want.
It's not a physical meeting. It's on
No, it's not a physical. It's on Facebook.
Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, and we're a very tight group. We're all believers. Most of us. There's a few that aren't, but maybe they'll come over.
But they've had some mold problems they're coming to the group. It's not just an ordinary person, right?
That's right.
Okay, now we're going to go into another. I got to have you back for another show, okay? But I want to end up listening. But let's throw out some names now that we can go into the next show. Not people's names. Could cancer come from mold?
Yes.
Yes or no? Okay.
Yes.
How about other disease? What's main today?
Dementia.
Dementia?
There is one type of dementia.
Okay.
Fibromyalgia.
Okay.
Chronic fatigue.
Chronic fatigue?
Gut issues. IBS. Vertigo. You can get dizzy.
From that?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we have a list of them that if anybody wanted to call here or call you, can you, later on, would you give them your number in case they want to call you?
I'd be happy. If, they can join my group. They can find me on Facebook.
We'll get that later on, okay?
Yes.
All right. Now, the reason I'm saying is that time's running out, but I don't want to lose my train of thought or the people watching because I'm just sitting here myself. I know nothing, Now, my wife has a problem, and can any house have this problem? Any building have this problem that causes these problems?
Any building, mansions, bungalows, new builds. What's happening is the 2x4s and 2x6s are coming laden with mold, and they're being used in building. Okay. Also, when you're building, it might rain. They're not protecting that and drying it out. So all that lumber is getting wet.
Wow.
And then they're closing it up with the finishings, the plaster, the drywall, everything else. It stays in there and it causes an issue.
That's why this program is so good on Asking Dawn. Had anybody ever had you on a program like this? On mold?
There has been only one program, and it was the 700 Club with a friend of mine, Andrea and Chris Fabry. Her husband was a Christian broadcaster, and it was around 2010 that they did a show on their mold in their brand new 5,000 square foot home in Colorado. Wow. But up till this time, no Christian program other than you and 700 Club has been interested in this topic. And so I thank you from the bottom of my heart for bringing this out for the Christian population that will watch you, that will be made aware of the root cause, because their doctors are given medication.
That's it. I'm surprised, and I appreciate what you said. But I'm sitting here amazed myself, right? And when God told me to put you on, and so forth, this program we have here today is something that we try to bring publicly without tearing down doctors or whatever, right? So when we get back on this, she coming back next week, I want to carry on right from there, okay?
Okay.
So, and by the way, if you don't know Jesus, that's the most important thing here. She's going to show maybe later on how she got saved, but I want to get into this mold. In fact, here's something. It's maybe good to say this: when you buy a house, a used home or a house, wouldn't it be good for the people to go and check and see if it has mold before? Right? I've never heard of. I have a real estate license, and I've never had anyone say, "I want my house tested for mold." So maybe they're going to learn that. Somebody's going to learn that from this.
That's right.
Right? So I'm so glad that you are so willing to do this and make it not in big terminologies we can't understand. And that's why this little ministry here has been doing so good. So I want to say thank you so much that you want to help us get all the information at the end of this program too. By the way, we are here to help you. But the most important thing is not mold even, is are you saved? Do you know Jesus? And we're going to talk about that next week. And she has such a testimony on that I just couldn't believe when I listened to her, read her book too, by the way, or not her book, but all the information she told me and sent me, right? She will come visit you or talk to you later on. We'll talk about that. Now, today, ask the Lord. If you don't know if you're born again or not, you say what born again is, you don't know. Ask Jesus right now to come into your heart. Say, Lord, forgive me for my sins, and he will. Now, you don't have to worry about feelings or something. It's not how long you say a prayer. It's whether your heart is right. Romans 10:9 talks about everything in the world. John 3:3 says you're going to be born again. Say, Lord, ask me. Say, Lord, I want to be saved. I want you to come into my heart, and then thank him. Now, at the end of the program, you get all the information on our ministry. If you could help us out with some contributions so we can continue on this ministry. It has been so successful, and I've had so many good people, good guests, with things that they never could. The pastor can't answer it. The doctors can't answer it. We can answer it according to the Word of God, the best of our ability. But maybe today you'll say, hey, maybe I got mold in my house, and maybe that's why I got cancer or whatever. Next week, tell somebody, but most of all, tell somebody about Jesus. And then, after you tell them about Jesus, tell them to watch the Don Reed Show. Ask Don. God bless you. All the information is now at the end of the program. God bless you.
If you have a question for Don Reed, please call us at 724-977-2247. If you have a question to ask Don Reed, please visit our website at thedonreedshow.org and click Ask Don. If you would like to donate to the Don Reed Show, mail checks to Don Reed Ministry, P.O. Box 1181, Hermitage, PA 16148, or visit our website at thedonreedshow.org. Donate today online at thedonreedshow.org. Just click on Donate Now. Watch live Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on livechristian.tv. Watch live. Download the app on mobile devices, Live Christian TV. Thank you for watching the Don Reed Show. We look forward to hearing from you very soon. This program was produced by In His Hands Productions, LLC. InHisHandsProductions.org. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.